Awesome. So, Brian, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Again, sorry for the tardiness on my end. Tell me what you're doing and tell me what you would like to be doing.
So currently I'm at a startup company. We're in a prop tech space. So I am the only designer on the team. I've worked my way up from being like a visual designer, focusing on the branding and the development of the company. And now I'd say more of like the product designer at the company. I've led the company through a pivot. We went from an energy management system to a computerized maintenance management system. I led the entire pivot regarding like new features, terms of just like all new feature sets, user personas and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm currently at, and where I'm wanting to be is really in that product designer area, being like producing that product and being the lead role is eventually.
Gotcha. Okay. So you want to stay in product design.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at your resume right now. You went to RC University, graduated 2013. Great. Okay, cool. So, and then you took the UX design specialization certificate, correct?
Yep.
Gotcha. Are you currently applying to jobs, or like where are you at? Are you looking to make a pivot, like getting out of this company? What's going on?
Well, I happened to just get a job in a job offer. So I just got a job offer from one of the top banks in the United States. So I'm going to be accepting it. But I just wanted to make sure that my portfolio in general is still in a good place. So I was initially just having worries and like was wondering where my portfolio sat and if I could get any feedback. So I'm still wanting to get that feedback because I do want to make sure that I am presenting the best that I can be when it comes to the work that I've been doing.
Great. What bank?
So it'd be Wells Fargo. And I
I
did.
was hoping it was Bank of America because I was gonna say that's my bank and they're shit with some of their products. But well, I mean, you have a job and it looks like we don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well,
Just
no,
kidding.
I still want to get that,
Ow.
feedback. Definitely want to make
Sure,
sure
yeah.
that.
Hold on, I'm just making sure. Fuck, there's a goddamn nail in the seat that I keep sitting on. Okay, so here, let me pull up your portfolio, and maybe you can tell me a little bit about tell me a little bit about the interview process. Like, did you apply to one job and it just so happened that this was the role, and then you got it? How'd that go?
I mean, I feel like I had been out of the like interview process for some time, so it took me a little bit longer
Yeah,
than
you've been at your
maybe
job for what,
anticipated.
6 years,
Eight,
7 years,
eight
eight?
years.
Yeah, there you go.
So it maybe took a little longer than I had anticipated, but I did apply to a good chunk of places. But I feel like that's everyone's journey right now. Everyone's been applying to like a lot and then getting through that process.
Yeah,
But
the market is very busy and very competitive at the moment. So definitely hear that. So is this all work from your role, your current role?
yeah, and it's not all the way, but I just chose the ones that I really liked and really had a good story and had good KPIs behind them. And then I just had my general projects from being graphic designer as well, and some student work is in here.
Good. Well, I like that you did that, One, it is about the work that you can have a good story with, right? Like that's really
Mhm.
key. Like every project, and I say this in some of the other portfolio reviews I've done, every project that I've done is something that I can talk about for at least 5 minutes, Like
Yeah,
at the end of the day, you have to be able to present this stuff and you need to be able to talk about the images that you've added and stuff like that. So it's really good. And I'm gonna go ahead and guess that did like when you interviewed, did you show them this or did you have like another presentation or something?
I had a huge presentation that highlighted two projects that are in here. It's the batch acknowledgement notification project, and then also, which you can get down to the bottom, and then also the automated workflow. And then sometimes I would talk about the meter reads project that's also on here, because that one had a really good story to tell in terms of just like the KPI. They went from like a 12-hour, we took users from a 12-hour manual process to a 3-hour process for a 25-story building to do work for their monthly meter reads. So that was something that like people could really latch on to and really just understand that story a little bit more, like, because it was more concrete.
Very cool. Very cool. What did that presentation look like? Is that like in a deck? Is that like in a Figma?
Yeah, so it's in a Google Slides format. It basically takes what you're seeing here, but just puts in a more constructed format in terms of presentation. And then what I would do during that presentation is that I'd actually show the actual product on actually show the inner workings of the app, which I got complimented a couple times. They were like, it's nice to see the actual thing like working and
Absolutely.
not just screenshots.
I ask because like I'm definitely gonna make a clip out of this and put it on TikTok because everyone, like a lot of the time when it comes to like interviewing, like you're not gonna really pull up your portfolio website. Your portfolio website is gonna get you in the door, and you're gonna want to present something that makes more sense, like a presentation of Google Slides or Figma or something, because you want it to be in a little bit more of a constructed layout that you're going to be able to talk through, you're going to be able to pause on, things like that. Like scrolling and talking doesn't really make sense. Like it's kind of like, you do this and then you scroll and then you talk and then you scroll again. So like, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Cause again, if I had to start interviewing today, I'd be doing the same exact thing.
Go ahead.
Definitely.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, definitely. I was just trying to like agree.
Let's get nitty gritty about your portfolio website. Since you're already on your way, you got a job offer in hand. Congrats. Let's figure this stuff out. So, homepage. Big images is fine. One thing I think technical that I'd consider thinking about moving forward, right? Like I know you have a lot of images on here already. Your image file sizes seem to be pretty big, and I only say that because I'm in a place that has slow Wi-Fi. So when you're back in the States, and you're in Brooklyn too, that's funny. When you're back in the States, your Wi-Fi is like boom, so everything loads fast. You're like, this is great. Try to be conscious of that. Just in general. I mean, I know most of the time you're not going to be like you may not be in Indonesia like myself and talking to people back in the States or clients, whatever, but that will just like save yourself a lot of time in the future anyway.
Okay.
Let's think about like, do you want to be multidisciplinary? I know this is something that we all put on our, like literally every designer puts this on our header. Like I'm so multidisciplinary, but you're a product designer now. Like you want to do product design. And let's think about how do we get like more specific. Like I'm a product designer that loves working on this type of experience or this type of part of the product or this phase of the company's like launching cycle, whatever it may be, right? Like how can we get a little bit more specific? What are you using for your portfolio?
This is Squarespace. And just to get back to that comment, I maybe have a clarifying question. Because like when I was applying to jobs and I was applying to like UX UI, and then also product design jobs. Because I mean, at the end of the day, they're kind of like overlap so much that's like, it's really dependent on the company, what they call each role.
100%.
So like that's what kind of I was like choosing this multidisciplinary because like I felt too cornered in if I said one or the other. And then also I have a background in front end development, so I have a little bit of a different like that little unicorn, I guess you'd say, of when it comes to designers, like that the unicorn in the room, the designer that can code. So
there you go.
I just
should let that show. I mean,
okay.
that in a product design. So product design versus UI UX. I come from the thought of that like product design is the top, not like better, but like that's the overarching, then UI UX falls under. When I was in my role, like when I was in my previous roles, product designer made sense because like similar to you, like I'd be one of the first product designers product design hires. Like they needed me to be able to do both, be able to you know, speak to engineers, speak to marketing, like that was a more general sense. You'll see companies that have specific UI UX roles at companies like like Meta, you know, company like Netflix. Like that's when you would want to potentially think about it. But again, I think like when you're in this space in general, like product design makes sense, it clicks, and the people that you'll be interviewing with will take a look at that and understand where they see you slotting in. To your point of like, I have experience with code, and as a front end developer, like that should also be, you know, like a thing that you show here, you know, like I'm a product designer that loves working with code or something, you know, like you figure out what it is that you want to show. And, you know, get a little bit more specific in that sense, because it's just gonna help.
Definitely.
The other thing I would say overall with your like website is, now that you have time, or now that you have a little less pressure, more like it, you have a job, let's figure out what it is. Like, how does Brian look? You know, how does Brian visually look when it comes to like their website design, right? Like right now, this is Helvetica. You got some colors going on up here in the nav. You got this like logo and stuff. You have experience as a front end dev. I'm sure you can pull out some cool things here. And like, let's do that. Because I would say like this, you've done the work of like, I have some really complete case studies. Those show here on the homepage. And if they really want to see more projects, like that's all covered in my projects page, which is great. I'd even start to like think about like, which ones can we knock off, right? Like, if these are from school, like bookbinding, you're not going to want to do that anymore, I'm sure. Iconography, great. Like, let that show in the projects themselves. You know, start thinking about like which projects are not really applicable, or like you don't really like, to be quite honest, like do you like, what do you not want to do anymore? You know, like I wanted to do branding and marketing and made my way into product and tech, still doing some of that stuff, but like I never wanted to make a book again. I really don't want to make posters. You know, I don't want to do print stuff much. You know,
definitely.
Unfortunately, like I have a client that I have to do that for, and I'm not happy about it, but I still have to do it, you know? So, you know, start thinking about that, and start thinking about how visually, how you want to present yourself. Like, I think, I don't know if you are signed up for my newsletter, but, every week I send out like a portfolio of the week that like visually is really interesting, or, they do something really cool. I shared one a couple of weeks ago. This guy, I think his name was Hiroshi. He's like a front end dev that also has really good design skills, and his website was just absolutely gorgeous.
That name sounds familiar, so I might have seen this.
It's on my website. If you go to callthedesignguy.com, there's like there's a newsletter page, or you can just do /newsletter. And all the ones from the last couple of weeks will be up there. So it's in there somewhere, and his site is so sick. So I think about like, how do we really tailor the presentation of your portfolio website and how you present your case studies to like your work and stuff like that. Photography,
needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, people like are like, oh my God, like I would love to see a multifaceted designer and have them show me their photography. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you know, if you really want to show someone that stuff, like just tell them like it's on your Instagram, or tell them it's like in this one place, you know, like I like, granted, like, yeah, you're good with a camera. A lot of designers are great with a camera. I don't think like you're looking to do product design and photography.
Yeah, probably not.
Right. Yeah. So like nix that, in my opinion. And on your bonjour. On your and go ahead.
Oh, because I do speak French, so I was like, I always try to do that little, because I have like some like I almost got a minor in French, so it's a little call to that.
Very cool, very cool. So that's fine. I would do this. I would personally because like there's always the topic of like you need to make sure your resume is on your portfolio website. Like I disagree. Like when you're sending an application, when you're applying, your resume is going to be submitted through the application normally, or they're going to ask you to submit it through there. And if anything, like the kind of solution that I think is actually helpful is like take your roles from your resume and just put them on the page, like put it as an experience section that's just like, here's the places I've worked at, and from this time to this time, and that's it. Like it doesn't need to be overthought. I kind of think it just messes up the website, and there's a better way of doing it than having someone open a PDF. Like we're in 2023. You can have a link to it, on that page, but I don't think it should be like a navigation item necessarily.
Okay. Yeah.
What other questions do you have? Because, like I think that's about my feedback that I'd give you in the position that you're in, like tidy up some, like let's get like some visuals that like resemble your design skills, your coding experience. Let's do some cool stuff here. You have opportunity to play around.
I guess for any of this particular case studies, are there any necessary improvements you would maybe change about like the ordering or anything like that? Or maybe just the ordering
which
of
one's
importance of like maybe
automated workflow or batch?
Like automated workflow, iterative app, meter reading, like which one? Any of those really?
So this is what I'm saying. My images are loading slow.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, just looking over briefly, like from someone that will hire creatives, that like works with recruiters to hire other creatives and stuff like that. Like, this looks all fine and dandy. And if you can, if you're telling me you can speak to it, that's great. My biggest thing now is like, let's just make this look good,
Yeah.
like, let's like make this look really good. Let's make it like look really sharp. I mean, I can get it, like the spacing on this makes sense. Like, hey, as I'm scrolling, great, bolded headings, awesome. I can stop and read, and then you have a nice image, and then boom, boom, boom. Like that's all makes sense. That's why like if you were to say to me, hey, I'm interviewing now, I don't have anything locked down, I'll probably tell you the same thing of like, okay, this is all looking good. And the spacing is good, and I'm sure you're going to be able to talk about it. Awesome. Let's figure out like what other things outside of your portfolio website to improve to get you to nail those interviews. Like that's where I would go with it. So like right now, again, my main feedback is like, let's start to take the time and think about like visually what kind of websites you think are striking, and then let's build something that's more representative of like your design style. And granted, like I don't want to say like this doesn't represent, like if you're like clean, basic, and like you like to like really let the work show through as like where my expertise lies in design, that's fine. I still think there are some changes here. Like for example, the navigation with the big logo never sits well with me because you have all this negative space and it just kind of throws the page off, right? So like you could still use Helvetica. Granted, I love Helvetica, but at the same time, like let's be a little bit more intentional in how we show, how we lay these pages out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So more just like tweaks and just minor, like just little facelifts, like a little Botox, I guess you'd say, just like the little fixers. Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
What other questions do you have for me?
That was the main thing. 'Cause like I really wanted to, like my main concern was just more about like the work that was being presented. Like I wanted to make sure that it was doing everything made sense and how things were like interconnecting, and that the case studies were making sense when you read it outside, like even with not me being there. Like I wanted to make sure that the case studies were conveying the intention.
All good on that end.
All right, cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. I knew about I've been listening to some of your one-on-ones, and I knew that the photography comment was going to be coming, but I was like, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it.
Good, I'm glad.
I'll just hear it.
glad that's starting to make through to some of the people, and I'm gonna start sharing more like short clips from these reviews as well, because yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, people just have they're like, I am a good photographer and I need to show it. I'm like, great. You could show it in other ways, and you can still like let the design work exist as only the design work. Like if you have a good photo and you've used it in design in your work, great, show it that way. But like no one wants, I'm sorry to sound harsh, but like you're interviewing for a specific role. No one wants to
Yeah.
know that your attention will then be split between the design role and
Yeah.
photography if it's that big of a deal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I was like, oh, when I was thinking about it, I was like, I have my link to my Instagram if they really wanted to see
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah, if
right
you
there at the
I mean
bottom.
everyone's Instagram is the photographer, everyone's a photographer. So
Yeah.
exactly. Brian, if you have any other questions, you have my email, and you can always set up another review, or just like if career stuff, chatting, if it's not looking
Okay.
at work,
Yeah.
that's all fine and dandy. So feel free to, excuse me, hit me up. And again, sorry for being a little late, but it was lovely meeting you, and I wish you the
Yeah.
best of luck in your new role.
Yeah. Thank you. Could I just ask one thing? Make sure, like, could you not post the videos that we have now until like after the 12th of June, because I'm going to be doing like background checks, and also I don't want my current company to be like accidentally find this on TikTok.
Sure.
Like,
I mean, so
that's the
so
only thing I
clips,
ask.
any clips won't be posted on I'm too slow to get these clips to an
Okay.
editor. Like clips won't be posted anytime soon. You'll get an email survey after this that has like 2 or 3 questions. One of them is, can I share this on the website? If you click
Mhm.
yes, what happens is the video gets uploaded to YouTube, but it's unlisted. There's no name or
Okay.
anything like that. It'll just have like the notes. And until you can either say no, which, won't go up there at all, which is totally
Yeah.
fine. But it goes up unlisted. And until the 12th, which is, June 12th.
June 12th.
That's fine. I mean, I can leave it unlisted. And then I could schedule it for June 15th or something, let's say, if
Okay.
you really
All right.
want. So it's up to you. Again, like it's no problem on me. I give you the choice. So I'm not
Okay.
trying to get you into like letting me upload this to YouTube or from my
Yeah.
website. But that's just a note. And if you want to send that in the feedback as well, just so I have it, like that's as a reminder, that's fine too.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted, because like I'm just like I haven't given my 2 weeks notice in yet. So I was like, I don't want to be
Listen,
like
they're fine. They're not
surprised.
gonna when it comes to this, they're not gonna worry about it. And then also
Yeah.
they're more gonna be scrabbling for to find another hire, and they're probably gonna throw you
Yeah.
a counter offer. So be ready for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the next new career. And thank you for so much for doing that review. I really appreciated it.
No problem,
I
Brian.
think
It's lovely to
I think
meet
I know
you.
where to focus my attention now. Really put that in
Awesome.
there.
Great, great, great. Have a good rest of your night. I know it's late in Brooklyn, and we'll speak soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.